Okay, welcome to GrowthWheel Crises Management. We thank you for the opportunity to be able to share this information with you. As we go through the presentation, you will actually hear, hopefully, from the creator of GrowthWheel, and he will share a bit with you. So hopefully, I can be able to share that with his presentation with his video. So we'll see how that works. This is the Greater Englewood Community Development Corporation and also the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Greater Englewood. We're located at 815 West 63rd Street in Chicago, Illinois on the 4th floor. So again, we welcome you. There's some information on the screen. If you'd like to send us an email, you can send it to info@gecdc.com. Or you can also go to our website at www.gecdc.org to get more information about the things that we're doing. You will see on your screen some upcoming workshops that we have for May as well as for June. So if you're interested in some of these workshops, you can actually sign up. The pre-recordings are already out there. So we have Starting a Business in Illinois. That's going to be available until May 19th. And then we also have the GATA or the DECO that you can listen to the registration presentation on how to register. Some of those grants that are going out through the state will require that you have a GATA registration. So you can get more information about that on that recording, and it'll be available till May 22nd. And then GrowthWheel, basic idea, that is going to be available until May 30th. So if you'd like to know a little bit about GrowthWheel and how to formulate your idea, if you have started your business or you're revamping your business, that might be some good worksheets that you can kind of work through. Also coming up today, of course, is the crisis management. But on the 26th, we will have a social media workshop. On the 27th, we will start our Road to Recovery webinars. So we have several that we'll go through. Creating a strong virtual business on the 27th, marketing and branding on the 28th, proposal writing on the 3rd, intro to financial planning for entrepreneurs on the 10th. The certification WBE, MBE will be on the 17th. And then on the 24th, we will have the maintaining a powerful mindset. All of those will be at 2 p.m. to 3. And if you'd like to register for any of these, you will have to go to the link https://ilsbdc.ecenterdirect.com/events ? And you can register. You'll see all of the workshops listed underneath our organization, which is the Greater Englewood CDC, and you'll be able to register for those. Once you register, it will actually send you a Zoom link, and that's how you will be able to get to the virtual component of it. So if you're interested in any of those, or you'd like to share this information, please do so and have them to register under that registration link. Periodically, we will always have upcoming events, so you might want to check out our website at gecdc.org so that then you can stay in contact with us with anything that we're posting. Just to let you know that all of the workshops and the trainings that we're doing is being funded partly through a cooperative agreement with the SBA, the Illinois Department of Commerce, the City of Chicago, and also Greater Englewood CDC. So that is how we are able to host these presentations. So I want to share that information with you. Okay. So I'm going to see if I can get David on here. See if you can hear my computer. Hopefully you can. And David's going to give you a little bit brief kind of overview of what GrowthWheel is. So let's see if we can get David on here. Okay, I'm going to stop it because it sounds like David's not coming through through the audio for this particular presentation. But basically, he's explaining the 4 components of the growth wheel, and as we're going through, we'll be able to share information on how growth wheel works. But the whole concept and idea is that there are decision sheets that you're able to utilize to help you think through your process. And then as you're thinking through your process, instead of having to come up with ideas and things on your own, this gives an opportunity for you to really have something to jumpstart you. So that's the whole idea and the concept of GrowthWheel. Unfortunately, utilizing the Zoom tools to share my volume with you, I'm not able to, so it kind of sounds crackly. So I won't take us through that torture to do that. But again, you'll be able to reach out to us if you are interested in being a part of GrowthWheel and actually getting some advising, utilizing the GrowthWheel tools. At the end of this presentation, we will tell you how to do that. Okay, so we're just going to move on through. Sorry, David, it didn't work. So I'm going to move past David. And we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about the crises management and really talk about what this tool does. And hopefully we'll be able to kind of get through this. Please ignore the logo at the bottom. This is a template that I was using and it defaulted to that logo. So ignore the goals. That's not us. So GrowthWheel Crisis Management, there are many companies currently right now, and that was the reason why we decided to actually do this particular one with GrowthWheel, because they have created these decision sheets to help you think through your crises. And many companies are experiencing crises right now, and or have experienced crises, and that might be due to the lack of liquidity or change in the market or poor management, a variety of things. In our particular case, it's a combination of COVID-19, but also looking at how you were managing prior to COVID-19. So we're going to really kind of talk about that today. When the crisis management, the crisis threatens, then our company is critical for us to be able to get some help as soon as possible. The longer the delay, the worse things can happen, and the possibility of you losing all that you worked hard for. GrowthWheel crisis management can be used both to identify some danger signals in time and to avoid those crises, and also it could save maybe some of the scraps based upon where you're at when the company is heading for bankruptcy in any kind of form or fashion. So there are sometimes salvageable opportunities where you can actually save and not lose everything if you start now. So there are 20 decision sheets that are actually in the crises management toolbox that focus on management, financing, partnerships, etc. We're going to only look at 4 of those sheets today. Okay, so here's the first sheet that we're going to be looking at on today. And the first sheet is called Crises Management, Crises Description. So this gives you an idea. If we had got through David's presentation, it would have showed you the decision sheet. And this particular one, it helps to make an honest description of all aspects of the crises. And some thoughts that you should have is don't just react to the symptoms, and then also focus on the root causes so timely attention can be focused to address a solution. Okay, so we're going to kind of work through this. I also have Raymond Bacon on the line, who's our volunteer business advisor with a background in finance that is going to help to navigate through these and basically answer any questions, but also make some statements that we can at least have on the recording in case people don't see this. They'll be able to pick it up later at a later time. So Ray, did you want to say anything right now or until we get into the sheet?
Yeah, just a couple things. I mean, the data on the sheet is very helpful in setting the stage of things that should be important to you, that should tip off that something's going wrong, okay? But you want to be able to evaluate risk on an ongoing basis. And so to do that, there are certain steps that you have to take to consider what could go wrong and then prioritize those things. So we're going to talk about that as we go through the different sheets that decision sheets that that are part of the GrowthWheel process. But the thing to keep in mind is that you want to be able to think about protecting yourself before you get into a crisis, and think about those strategies that you can take to do that. And so we talked a little bit about this last week when we went through the financial literacy for small businesses, and so these things come up again as we think about crisis management, because in essence these are tools that can help you stay on top of things on a real-time basis. And that way you're going to be able to take action you need before you go into that downward spiral that Tamara was talking about, where it's very difficult to recover from. And you want to be able to take action before that happens, and make sure that you're not spinning your wheels reacting to symptoms, but you're really addressing root causes. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Tamara. Tamara, I can't hear you at all. Tamara, did you put yourself on mute?
The audio is acting very crazy.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, it's doing some crazy stuff on Zoom here, so hopefully it won't fade out again, and hopefully I can actually get through the live share.
Okay.
So we're gonna.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? Could
Sure.
you hear me when I was talking?
Yes, I could. I can
Okay.
hear you. It's just
All right.
I don't know why it's actually doing what it's doing. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go to crises description, which is the first sheet that we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to actually zoom in a little bit so that you can see it. So hopefully you can see it now. It should be a little bit closer. This is what the sheet looks like. And this is an active sheet. So if you're interested in getting these type of sheets, again, you will have to register with us so that we give you access to GrowthWheel, access to in the sheets that we can send you, so that we can also do coaching and advising and tracking the data that you're inputting. So this is crisis description. As we showed on the other slide, the whole idea of the sheet is to actually kind of look at all aspects of the crises, okay? You'll notice on the decision sheet on the left-hand side is actually then just some information about what the sheet is going to do and how it will effectively help you. And then also the next steps that you have to take after you finish the sheet, actually meeting with some key people that could include us, so that once you finish the sheet, you meet with the advisor and you talk through it. So this becomes personal. It becomes a one-on-one. And then also then figuring out what the solutions is to whatever crises you have identified. On the left side or the right side, you'll see a checklist at the very top next to the growth wheel. And so basically in this checklist, it's really helping you to identify who you are, what you are. Have you identified any signs of crises? Is there a sign of crises as the owner? Or is the owner identifying the crises, or has an employee or somebody else identified the crises? So these are some different aspects when you're consider crises. Is this a personal motivation that you're doing? Is it a competitive situation because you're having to now recognize that you got some competition and the crises that you're having may be a challenge because people are offering services better than you, so forth. So in the sheet, and I'm just showing you how the sheet, it is a active PDF sheet. So what you have to do with every sheet is that you have to actually download it, save it to your computer. And when you do that, then you can actually type. You'll notice that hopefully you can see me kind of navigating. The boxes are highlighting, which means that I have the option then of typing in this sheet. At the very bottom, I can put the date, my name, and then the company name. And the reason for that is that you might do this sheet several times. So you always want to save the master sheet, and then you make copies of this sheet so that you can go and make edits. So the first thing is that you'll notice they have the column that says aspect of the situation. Again, we're looking and taking an honest view of what your crisis is. So the first thing is the background of the crises. So in this particular case, this is where you would actually indicate the background of the crisis. So in this particular case, I'll say COVID. So that's kind of the background of the crises, that's what happened. It'll help you as well. If they don't recognize the name, it'll kind of do a spell check for you. But so, I can indicate COVID, closed my store in March of 2020. So I'm kind of giving a little bit of background. You can give a little bit more information about the events, the history, whatever. That's what you would put in there. That kind of gives you a description. Why this is helping is because when you bring other people in, advisors and people that you want to talk to about this, at least they have this sheet so that then you can jump right into the issues that you may have, because now you got the sheet. You can review it with your advisor or somebody's assisting you, and they have some background. So now that we know I'm dealing with COVID, the emergency crises. So what is the emergency crises? Well, I'm closed, so I can't, you know, say for instance, I'm a restaurant, okay, and I'm closed, but I can't take payments, so I'm not getting any payments. I'm not getting any customers. I'm not getting anything related. I don't have an online system. I can't do the drop off pickup kind of thing, you know. So there might be some emergency crises that normally, if my restaurant is open, that I have a regular flow and I have customers. But right now, because the store is closed, because of whatever governmental policies, statements, policies that have been made, now is requiring me to actually try to figure out another way, or if I don't have it. So if I was online, I could be able to still have my customers to go online, do a shopping cart or something like that, and do a pickup, drop off, a pickup at the door where they can make an order, and then they can, my customer can pick it up, and that would help with the flow of dollars that I need to keep my business, not necessarily 100%, but at least it would keep me rolling. So this is what they're talking about: emergency crises. What's going on, you know, with this? The government required that that if my business is non-essential, so that then if it's non-essential, that's another problem. These are the emergencies. So that's what you would put in this box. You'll notice that the box only takes a certain amount. That's because I'm working online. But actually, if I save this, the box would expand so that you could see everything. It's only because I'm online that you're not able to see everything that I'm typing in, okay? So then the next thing is most important clients. So now you want to start thinking about those people that come every day. So Betty Mac, she may come every day, or every Wednesday she comes for breakfast, or, you know. So now I'm starting to think of those loyal customers. So who are they? You should at least have an email or something of the people that you know that are loyal, that they come in all the time. They come in every day. Even in this particular case, if you haven't, going forward, if you are going to sustain your business, you should be thinking about how to do a survey sheet, how to do a roster, sign-in sheet with the name, their phone number, because this is how you keep loyal customers when you communicate with them. So in this particular case, the sheet is asking who those loyal people are. So you're going to type that information in. Then most important, operational suppliers. So these are the people that you're buying from, that is supplying. So if I'm a restaurant, you know, I might be purchasing some of my food from a local supplier or from a supplier. And if that's the case, I need to list who those suppliers are, the most important ones, to keep my operation up and going. Okay. And then the next one is the company.
Let me interrupt you for a second, Tamara. Uh, the two factors that you just talked about, the most important clients, you know, like for a restaurant, it's like when you take reservations, that's also the time you want to capture that phone number, but also you want to capture their email address, okay? Because you know, you need really both of those things to, in fact, in more cases than not, you want the email address more importantly than the phone number. The other thing about operational suppliers is, and this is really key, is that, you know, if you've got an ongoing restaurant, you've got some trade credit with your suppliers. That means that your suppliers are giving you time to pay back what you just bought. You know, it might be the term like net 30. That means you don't have to pay that supplier for 30 days. When you get your order, you're able to use that inventory and turn it over and sell it before you have to pay back that supplier. So that way you don't have to put out your own cash flow to buy supplies. And that's very important. So when you're running into a situation where you're running out of options to pay people, you want to be able to overcome that so you don't lose that credit that your suppliers are giving you, because that's key. That's a real key factor to survival. Sorry again. Sorry for the interruption. Thank you.
No, that's fine. That's great. Key information, like I said, this is being recorded, so people may pick up this recording later, so that's good information. So then the company's key employees, these are people that you depend on, so you need to list who those are. So definitely if there's a person whoever that person is that handles your phone calls, your administrative assistant, or whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you're highlighting the key people. If it's a production company, you want to highlight the manager that's handling your production, or whatever the case. These are people you depend on, that if they weren't there, you would have to do it yourself, and how much can you handle? So these are key employees. That's what you would put here in this box. So that you kind of are aware of who's what, because they can kind of help you, especially if you're trying to recover from a crisis. You want to involve them. You want to have them. I look at Amazon and a couple of other companies where they show that the people that work with them are considered associates. They're not just hired hand, but they consider them associates, meaning that they're bringing them in to try to develop solutions. They're using their expertise as well. So that's what a company should do, especially with their key employees, is to include them so that there's a lot of strategy going on with the people that are on the ground, boots on the ground. So you want to include them. Then the next thing is bank relationship. So this is anything related to any kind of mortgages, loans, agreements that you already have. So you want to indicate that. So if you have something with Citibank, you want to list that. Again, the importance of this is when you're actually talking to an advisor or somebody that's helping you, at least you have already thought this out, so that then the advisor doesn't have to keep saying, okay, do you have this? What kind of agreements do you have? What kind of mortgage do you have? A corporate mortgage? What kind of, so all of this is related to your business. So this is where you put that information, because it becomes a talking point as you're being advised or helping you just to think things through. Then the debt situation. So if you have any kind of liens, you got any kind of mortgages or anything like that, this is where you're putting that information. Again, it's a working sheet to help you think through what situations you have that potentially are in jeopardy, that your debt is causing jeopardy. And you want to look at then your assets, your liabilities. You want to look at everything. So you want to look at your debt situation, and you're going to list all that information there. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move over up into the next box. And again, this is another description: resources. Who can help you? So we have another sheet we're going to talk about and figuring out who that is. But just the top of your brain right now, who can help you with this situation? So you're going to put down, maybe it is your lender, maybe it is the SBA and SBDC, your advisor. So you're gonna type that information in. If you don't have an advisor, you can always reach out to us. We'll get you one. So you can actually put all of that information down. Who can help? So you're thinking this through, and then when you actually talk to someone, there might be some other resources that you're not even aware of. Okay, so you want to kind of figure out what that is. Then the next box is information. Who knows what and what should know, who knows what and should know what, okay? So it's kind of like, where's this information? Who has the information that you need to help you get out of a crisis, but also to help you avoid a crisis? So this might be your SBA, SBDC again. It could be your lender or your bank advisor again. It could be your attorney. It could be your tax consultant. It could be a variety of information, because there's very different aspects that you need to focus on in your business. So taxes is definitely one. Your attorney is one. Your insurance person is one, because all of these aspects have information that you need to know. So you're going to highlight all of that. Okay. Any comments, Ray?
So with respect to the resources and information, I mean, thinking beyond the immediate factor, but maybe something that might relate to something that provides you with an option before you have a problem, and that is like getting a line of credit from a bank. So that's a rainy day factor. When you need a line of credit, you've got it set up. You don't want to start bargaining for a line of credit when you have a problem. I mean, you might be able to, but I'm just saying, you want to be able to get that in advance when things are running smoothly, because we never know what's going to happen. I mean, no one could predict this thing happening to us with respect to COVID-19. But even though you try to do the best you can to stay on top of your risk, there are things that are going to happen that you just are not expecting. And so you want to have ways of overcoming them with some, pre-planning strategies that you can take when your things are going right, so that you've got that backstop that can help you overcome a problem that you just don't expect out of the blue. And things can happen really suddenly, and they can be very devastating. So, thinking through these options is very important. The SBA, the programs that they put forth with respect to, the PPP loan programs and the other things in terms of emergency loans and things of that nature can make a big difference. But you need to stay ready in terms of understanding, do you have your records in place, kept up to place, so that when it comes time for you to go to these sources to get applications filed for grants or for loans, low-cost loans, that you don't have to scramble around. You're ready, and your job is always going to be ready when you're a small business owner.
Great. Yes, definitely. So the next box is private economy. So they're talking about anything related to private residencies or other debt that you haven't mentioned, any kind of security or pensions related to the business. So anything like that, you will need to list that, so if you do have some kind of under the business, maybe you're doing a lot of business and you got like some kind of timeshare or something, because your clients, you go quarterly to do some kind of workshop or training or something like that. And this is part of your challenge, a private residence, meaning that it's part of the business because you purchased it through the business account, but you utilize it for trainings or workshops or leadership development or something like that. So you have to list then any other kinds of debt you have that you did not mention prior. So that needs to be listed as well, okay? Then we have the family. So this is kind of just state what your status is. Are you single? Are you divorced? Are you married? Whatever. Do you have a prenup they have in there? Liabilities. All of this is very important, because this is going to really determine in a crisis what your situation is, particularly like with marital status, and having then open communication with your spouse about, you know, although it's the business, your spouse is involved in that in some way, form, or fashion, unless you've put something legally that they are not involved at all. But you know, as a married couple, some decisions that you're making, even though it is a business, also involves your spouse. So you need to put in the your status. So if you're married or if you're single, you know, you're going to put your status of how that looks. And then if there's anything, liabilities or anything attached to that related to your family, you're going to put that in there. Then decision, desired future. So this is kind of like what your intentions are, your problem or your opportunity. What do you want your future to look like? How do you come out of this crisis? What, you know, it's starting to have you to start kind of looking at this from a different perspective, a different scope. Again, this might be that this is helping you before you get to the crises. So this sheet is helping you in the crises, but it's also helping you to identify and before you get to the crises. And some of this information on this sheet is designed for that. You'll notice that there are 2 more blank boxes. So that's if you have some more categories as well as some more information that you want to include. So this is how you fill out the crisis description sheet. And again, this is where you kind of think through things and then you connect with an advisor or somebody like that in order to be able to share. Ray, did you have any comments or you're good with this sheet?
I'm good now. Thank you.
Okay. So now we're gonna go back to my PowerPoint. So we just went live with the crisis description sheet. Now we're gonna go to the financial warning signs sheet. And so this is assessing your warning signs in the company's financial account and forecast. That's what the sheet is designed for. So some of the things to think about is complete risk assessment analysis is what you're going to do. And then also monitor risk factors on a real-time basis. So this is what this sheet is helping you to engage in, to help you have the warning signs. So like, say for instance, 2 years ago, before this kind of COVID thing happened, if you were already assessing on a real-time basis, looking at some of the things that were happening to your business or ensuring that you've already did a pre-assessment. So you're saying, okay, financial assessment, if my revenue goes down to this amount, then this is what's going to happen. If my revenue goes down up this amount, this is what I'm going to do. You know, so it's that risk assessment, making sure you're in the right position. So now I'm going to go live, just like I did before, and I am going to share, and I'm going to go back to the sheet, and I'm going to go live so I can share with you our next sheet, which is our financial analysis sheet. And I need to get rid of this thing that keeps popping up. So now I'm sharing the warning sign sheet, and I'm going to zoom in so that you can see it because I know it's really small. But again, if you want these sheets, you want to be able to navigate and work through these sheets, you can be able to register. We will connect you to an advisor, and as we can send you these sheets so that then you have them on your computer, you can download them and you can type in them just like I'm doing, and work through these sheets and then reach back to your advisor, or the advisor will contact you and have a conversation about what you put on your sheet. Okay, so these are financial warning signals. Okay, again, you have some instructions over here on the side. You'll always have that on GrowthWheel. And now we will have just what this sheet, how this sheet is organized. So there's the area, the possible warning signals. Then there's the green, the yellow, and the red. And basically, everybody know what red is you in a bad place. Or yellow, it's kind of like in between. And green is I'm good. Okay. And then you can make remarks related to whatever you selected. So here are the categories. So the first one is revenue. So these are some of the suggested possible warning signals: sudden or gradual decline in revenue. So if I got that restaurant business and I'm doing a financial assessment, okay, so not necessarily the crises that I'm directly in, it could be, but right now I'm really talking about my forecast and my assessment. So, maybe I'm just like in a yellow. So you can click. Okay. And then you make a remark of why you're in the yellow. It's because maybe my marketing is not good, marketing not good. Okay. Because I might not be marketing the best way I can to get more customers in order to increase my revenue. So now my revenue is declining, or it might be that the menu that I have is not good. So whatever the case may be, that's what you would put your statement. Dependency on one big customer or one product or one category. So some of this may be NA for you and not relevant, but these are just options that you can click on, so that then if that is the case, then you can kind of give a bit more detail. So then lack of overview of how income is earned. So if you have not really looked at how you're making the money, this is like very key, that you need to know how your money is coming in. So not just that you got a customer that paying cash and you're not really monitoring and have a high level overview of how you're making and earning the income. And in that, you might not have that spreadsheet or whatever you need to do. You might put that in the red, because that means you need an accounting system. You need a QuickBooks. You don't have that, or whatever you're using. You might need to up your game on those kind of things, because you might not be able to, or if anybody needs to look at your revenue, you should be able to have an advisor or your accountant or somebody that you have already this information laid out, so that they can look at the sheet and say, oh, okay, yeah, I see why you're losing money right here. Okay. So if you don't have that, then go ahead, Ray.
I just wanted to offer, this revenue factor becomes perplexing for people, because in essence, you're expecting something to happen and it doesn't, and you're not quite sure why. Like the lack of overview of how income is derived. As an example, typically for a restaurant, the gross margin on in essence the ingredients you use for the food that you sell is usually like a 70% markup. Okay, 70% margin, I mean. So if suddenly you don't realize, hey, these products are gradually costing me more money. My prices I'm going to keep my prices, as they were. I'm not taking into account that my margin's decreasing. That's something that you want to stay on top of. And usually you kind of figure it out, after a while, but you want to keep on top of something like that on a real time. So you're really aware of that. You're really aware of these margins so that you don't lose track of where you need to be. The other thing about a restaurant, which is kind of, people don't normally think about it, but there is a seasonal factor with respect to restaurants. Most restaurants are really slow after the year-end holidays. Like January and February and some of March is usually very, very slow in restaurants. And they need to, think ahead that this happens every year. So what are you going to do about it? You need to do something about that so that, you don't come out of the other side of having a lot of fixed expenses that you can't in essence have sales to overcome. If you're paying a lot of money for rent, you're paying that money whether you have good business or bad business, and so you need to think through and stay ahead of things that are are kind of normal factors, but things that, you know, sometimes creep up on you. I mean, sometimes, you know, we live in Chicago. Sometimes the weather is bad. You know, spring is never spring in Chicago, as an example. So what if that impact of that seasonal factor that you normally realize continues on for a couple more months? You got to stay on top of that, you know, and overcome those kinds of difficulties on so that you don't get boxed into a corner before it's too late.
And that kind of goes into what you're talking about, like operating profit, some warning signals. So those are some of the categories that they're suggesting, that if you're seeing negative operating profit, you see a loss of growth and so forth, these might be indicators that then you need to really investigate and to make sure that you're not kind of falling into something that then it's going to put you in a situation of trying to recover that you may or may not be able to recover. So the whole idea is to forecast, to be able to do a forecast on everything. Do a forecast on your revenue, do a forecast on your operating profit, do a forecast on total equity, you know, to make sure and look at the warning signals that if you have negative equity, that needs to be reestablished. So you need to look at that. Debt, anything related to debt, any kind of loans that are greater than your liquid assets, meaning that your cash that you can kind of like have liquid dollars right now. If you have loans that you have to pay and you don't have the money to pay, that's basically what it's saying. And looking at the debt, looking at your credit line and what you have. And if your credit line is limited or you can't get credit, as Ray was just sharing, these are things that you need to be able to look and do an assessment of what situation you're in right now and how it could potentially be affecting you. And you do this in advance so that then when a COVID or any other crisis comes about, you've already made the assessment and you've already maybe hopefully made some forecasts or some decisions on, if this happens, if my revenue goes below this dollar amount, if my operating costs go up higher than this. You've already made those assessments. You've already kind of like made those determinations way in advance prior to the crises. I think some of the challenges are even like today with some of our restaurants and things like that. Many of them, especially those that are kind of micro businesses or mom and pop shops, one of the challenges is they don't have the technology, the advanced technology. They might not have an effective website. They might not be able to do e-commerce. They might not have the team or the staff to be able to do call and drop off kind of services. So there might be some challenges that they're having, but in just thinking traditionally, they come in the store or they come in the restaurant, they buy their food and they leave. But what happens when you can't do that? Okay, how do you keep going? How do you keep being able to manage and keep your business rolling? And some of that will require that you look at your technology, you look at your marketing, you look at all of those aspects, and like that other sheet, really making the determination of how you're going to operate. So this sheet is really designed for you to kind of take a review, kind of score yourself. That's really what this is for, to see if you're in the green, if you're in the yellow, or you're in the red, and if you have comments, to be able to comment on that. So these are the rest. I won't go into detail with them, but you have accounts payable, accounts receivable. I invite you to go and look at our video that we have called Financial Literacy. We went through all the terminology related to this. So if there's something you don't understand, there is actually a video that talks about financial literacy and the terminology, talking about assets, talking about your budget, and then talking about your relationships. What kind of relationships? Do you have good relationship with your bank and that kind of thing? So that's what this sheet is designed to do. Ray, you have any additional comments to these
I just
categories?
wanted to kind of backspace a little bit when you talked about the original comments relating to this sheet. You mentioned in terms of doing a risk assessment, and that's something that's a bit technical, okay, but it's something that's within everyone's capacity to do, and by that you need to be, you're not going to be able to identify every risk that can come your way, but you can identify the ones that are most important to you, that you want to pay attention to, because they're the ones that are that can cause you the biggest problem that you want to be on top of. So when you do a risk assessment, you think about those risk factors that you could likely happen, okay? Sometimes that's called high probability events. That you really think these things could happen. But so when you think about something that you think could happen, you want to understand, okay, if this does happen, is this going to be a high impact factor? Is this going to be something that's going to be really, really a setback that I'm going to have a real challenge in overcoming? The other thing is well, you want to pay attention to those things because that's obvious. But the other thing that's not so obvious is that sometimes, you have things that are not likely to happen. You don't think they're likely to happen. And you don't pay that much attention to them because, you think that, well, this isn't likely to happen. I don't need to worry about that. I can spend my time doing other things. But the thing that usually you need to consider, even though something might be a low, probability of happening, something that's not likely to happen, if it has a huge impact, if the potential of that thing that's isolated has a huge, huge impact, you want to pay attention to that as well. And so in going through this exercise, you just do the best you can. It's not going to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, but at least it gives you a strategy to overcome things that are within your span of vision, that you want to pay attention to. You don't want to, be sideswiped by every little thing that happens because you're not paying attention to the fundamentals.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ray. So now I'm gonna go back to my my PowerPoint slide. And we'll go to the next presentation, or the next slide, which is crisis management and crises agenda. So this sheet is the crises agenda. So this it puts the most important topics on the management agenda. So this is where I need this now. So it prioritizes needed action steps that are critical to recovery, but it helps to maintain ongoing effectiveness of control activities. So this is what this is designed to do, is to prioritize what the action steps are that are needed, that are critical as it relates to recovery. So recovery meaning that you're in it. Okay, so what are the next action steps? Many people are in it now. And so they're trying to recover so they don't lose. Okay, and then also, if you're still in it and you survive the storm, how do you maintain ongoing effectiveness of control activities? What are you doing every single day? How are you maintaining that so when the next crisis comes, you'll be ready for it? Ray, do you have any comments, or I can switch? I can go to the next sheet.
Yeah, this one is really, I think, kind of it's really kind of plain in terms of, well, we want to pay attention to the things that need the most attention, and the last factor associated with that is, if you're fighting a crisis and you're overwhelmed by it, you don't want to lose grasp of those things that are controlled well and that are contributing to stability. Okay, if you ignore those things, the chances are those things can go off the table too. So you want to obviously focus attention on the priorities, but at the same time, you don't want to lose grasp of not paying attention to the operations that are well controlled and that are operating, you know, in a positive way. Because if you ignore them, they could become a problem that could even make things worse than they are for you right now.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the decision sheet for crisis agenda. Again, some of this is really basic, but it really helps you to think things through. So this helps you to prioritize then the topics. And so they have them sectioned. When you go through GrowthWheel, you'll notice that GrowthWheel has colors. So this sheet is actually in the burgundy. So it's the organization sheet. That's where it is. But there's a kind of gold sheet, some relationship sheets and operation sheets. So when you go through GrowthWheel, you'll have different kind of decision sheets within these development areas. So this sheet just helps you really decide and prioritize where you're at. So that with the basic concept, new profitable product range. So this means what kind of products do you have that you know you can make some profit off of? Do you have that? No, maybe. And then you actually give a description. All of these are not applicable maybe to you or for you. So you just kind of answer the ones that are product development. So if you actually have a product, it needs a patent or something like that, you're developing it. Do you have that now? Is it later? Is it maybe? And you give a description. So as you look through this category, a better business model. So now that people are going through this whole COVID, they're looking at the business model. Some people have had to switch up the business model. So they were just doing regular walk-in restaurant, walk-in, buy, or sitting down and eating, but they've had to enhance their business model so it includes the call-in takeout kind of situation. And several other businesses have had to do that, have had to change that business model, and either enhance the business model or just change the business model totally. So these are things that you should be thinking about and prioritizing it, especially as it relates to your the dollars, your cash flow, because if you're not making money like you used to the old way and thinking, okay, I'll go back to what I used to do, that might not be the right thought process, because customers may not come back that way, which means you got to reach them where they're at. And so in order for to do that, you need to know where your customers are at, what your customers are doing, so that you maybe have to change your business model or enhance your business model so that you can reach your customers in a different way. So those are things you might have to look at: your prices, your terms of sale. You know, you might have to do a collaboration with your competitors, because your competitors may be going through the same thing. So this sheet is designed for you to look at each of these areas, your organization, looking at if you have any new owners or need to get some new owners, directors, organizational, all of this. This is really looking at, you know, how your operations is, then your customer relations, really talking about your marketing efforts. Is it fast and cheap, or you know you need to spend some money with marketing? Okay, so that's where that conversation. Go ahead, Ray.
So I just wanted to point out something that we always preach about, and that is the collaboration with competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And so as Tamara pointed out, you know, there may be some things that you can coordinate with that can help everybody, help not just you, but help your competitor in a positive way. Okay, because in essence, you know, people that own a small business, they're generally very independent minded. Okay, and so they don't think about strategies that really could be helpful and enable them to advance with their margins, their profit margins, if they just collaborate with their competitors. one of the things that comes to mind real quickly is just that, you know, if you're using the same kinds of ingredients or same kinds of materials you need for your business in terms of making products, as an example, you know, you can collaborate with your competitors, and you can form a co-op with respect to buying those materials in a larger order. You know, as you know, if you buy more of something, you're going to get a better per unit price, and that can be helpful for you on a real-time basis, and it can also help the people that are cooperating, you know, with this common factor. So it's something to pay attention to, obviously, not just in a crisis situation, but really something that you should try to keep on top of, and think about strategies that you can use to your advantage all the time.
Great. And I totally agree with that. And thank you for the clarity. And then back to customer relations, just looking at some of this, you know, thinking about new methods, thinking about new coverage. This is kind of like with the marketing, thinking about how you can have better partnership agreements with your customer, thinking about if there's an unprofitable customer, how do you let them go? Because some of that can be draining and actually decrease your dollar of what you're making. So in this section, you're really thinking about your marketing. You're thinking about some of the challenges that you have as it relates to marketing. So you want to make sure that you're able to market for everything, you know, and making sure that you're really looking at all aspects of your business. So I'm going to put you on mute. So, and then the last thing is operations. So with operations, you're updating your sales budgets. This is where you're keeping track of everything. This is where you know, okay, I need to cut costs here. I need to figure out a new thing. This is where you talk about, do I need a new facility? Do I lease the facility that I have so I can make more money, so that people rent from the space that I already have? Inventory reduction. Do you have too much of something and it's not selling? How do you reduce the inventory? So this sheet really helps you to kind of think through these. Again, this is a sheet that is really designed to help you then have that great conversation with an advisor or somebody that can help you financially in understanding your financial situation and where you are. So that is then the crises agenda one. And so I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. We have one more and then we'll be done. So we went live with that. So the last one is your rescue team. This is pretty much the people right now. You're in the crises and you need to figure out who are the people that help you save the company. Okay. And then it's good to have rescue team that in case the crisis has not happened yet, that you are keeping an eye, but you know that you got some people you can call on to help you, that can help you out the crisis. So this is to help you identify the resources that you will need to implement, prioritize corrective action or actions. So this is how people and resources can help you then correct some of the actions that you've made that you now have to correct, or at least help you think through the process. So I'm going to go directly to the sheet and we'll talk about what those things look like. So let me navigate to the sheet with the team, the rescue team, which is our last one. Okay, and let me blow it up so you can see it. Okay, so you should be able to see it now. So this is the decision sheet for the rescue team. There are a checklist of various roles. So that checklist is just to help you design which people, some additional people you may need to consider so that you don't leave them out. So that could be business advisors, financial advisors, and so forth. But then as you come down on the decision sheet, you'll have the category, the people that can contribute, is it important, yes or no, and then their role or their interest. So when you're looking at these categories, you got decision makers. So who are your decision makers? And are they important? Are they not important? And then what role do they have, or what interest do they have? So when you're going through the sheet, you're really checking off who the key players are that can help you get out of your crisis, okay? You want to really thoroughly think about that. Your employees, again, like I mentioned, you don't want to leave them out. So whoever your production staff, sales, administrative, those might be some key people that can help you in your crisis and help you think through this and be key players in trying to recover, okay? So you want to make sure that you're considering all of those individuals, as well as they might not necessarily be staff. They could be consultants. They could be friends that you know they got the expertise. You want to pull everybody. These are the advisors. You want to pull everybody in here. But particularly this section is talking about the employees that you already have on staff. Then your customers, your current customers and your potential customers. Can they help you? Can they help you think through this? It might mean that you need to do a survey. You know, and you should have been doing a survey. Just basically saying, how do you like our services? Is it good? Is there a problem? I get surveys all the time. Every time I purchase something from somewhere, somebody immediately says, I see you got your product. How was it? Or if I get online, like with ADT or something, and I have a problem with my alarm system, I get an email right away saying, we see that you called. And did we help you? How was the person that came out to service? You know, so this is how they keep me involved, so that then if there was something that I didn't like or something like that, then I can let them know and really help them to advance the next time. Or potential clients, they'll ask me, hey, we'll give you $5 if you refer somebody, you know. So I get all of that kind of, so those are some of the things that you might want to consider. Even your creditors, are any of those people should be on your team? Your bank, your service providers, the people that provide your products, should they be on your team? Any specialists like us, the advisors or volunteer counselors, your psychologists. Right now, a lot of people, mental wellness and health is a big thing right now, because people are trying to figure out, you know, they're seeing the business that they built over the year, and now it's at a place of almost collapse. And psychologically, they're having to try to figure out how to get through this. So there are these people that you need to include in your team. Are they important? Are they not important? So you need to be able to identify those individuals now, because if you know, you don't want to wait till the last minute, have your team ready just in case. You know, you might not have to talk to them all the time, but I would suggest that quarterly, or at least quarterly, or maybe annually, but I would say at least quarterly, just shoot out an email and say, hi, how are you doing? Hope things are well on your end. Here's an update of my business situation, because any of these key people could possibly see something and flag it right away and say, oh, you're having that problem. You know what you should do? And see, that's what you want. You want to have that team, that team player, these people on your team to help you to avoid the crisis, but while you're in the crisis, try to help you get out of the crisis. And you can't do it by yourself. I know sometimes we think we wear multiple hats and we can do it by ourselves, but many times there are other skillful specialists out there that have strategies, and you'll never know until you pull them in. So this is what the sheet is designed to do, is to help you think through that. Then any other externals. So this could be anybody, any authorities, any groups that you might be in, media, even your competitors. in this particular case, I think everybody's at this almost at the same level as it relates to small business and micro business. Everybody's struggling, especially if you're in a place where you're on a kind of a shutdown. Even your competitors are struggling. They may have some strategies that kind of keeping them afloat, but they're struggling too, because it's not business as usual. Okay. And then private relationships. These are your family members, good friends, networks. You want to pull them in, people that you know that have background and history and can have a different perspective than what you're having. You want to include them. So when you put all these people in, you'll see over here on the side that this is wonderful table. It's like a boardroom table. So what you want to do is the people that you kind of given high priority to, you want to be able to put their names possibly around your table. So you're going to type in, so if you have a partner or business owner, you want to put your partner on there, and so you can type in their name. It will be good if you can type in their name, so you can put John H, so you want to put all those people that you kind of thought through. Now you want to put them around the table, and then you want to have some kind of agenda. So, how do you include all these people? What is your agenda for strategizing how they can be a part of the role? One, you're looking for their expertise in various areas, so there's a variety of things that each person can bring to the table, or there may be stuff that the people around your table know, or you didn't even know they know. So you want to make sure that you don't make any assumptions. Once you fill this table, that's when you make a call. You say, hey, do you mind getting on a conference call with me? I'd like to share with you some strategy and some things. Then you can give them the agenda of what you want to talk about. Again, these are people that you're kind of entrusting, that you're talking to, that that can contribute to helping you save your company and mapping it out so that you're not trying to do this on your own. And so that's what this sheet is for. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. Ray, did you have any comments? Or pretty much most of that is self-explanatory, as far as the sheet is concerned, but it is a good strategy to help you think things out.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing because I think it's very important, and really maybe even more important for small businesses, and that is that you as really a small business owner, you set the stage in terms of the culture of the organization. Okay, so if you want staff that feel that they're empowered to take action when they see something wrong, that's something that it takes away from the profit motive into the caring motive. Okay, yeah, it's soft and fuzzy, but I can tell you when you want to have people that can help you overcome problems, and if they can take the action, in terms of the guidelines and in essence the expectations that you lay out for people are very important, and how you interact with people and their staff. Tamara said something that obviously is against the conventional wisdom, which she said, well, sometimes you have to fire the customer. That's right, you do. And so when you have to fire the customer because that customer is really not, is not treating your employees with respect, and you just have to take action, those employees are going to have a great deal of respect for you when you do something like that. And so the culture of an organization is very, very important. That I found through the years that's the most difficult thing to change. In other words, a lot of people they're blind to things that are negative about the way they interact with other people, and so as a result, things build up to the point of no return, and then it's too late. So you want to keep a pulse on the culture of your organization, as well as the interaction you have with not just your customers, but obviously, the staff that helps you, and the staff that you expect to be empowered to take action to overcome something that's wrong. So that's all I wanted to mention. It's a little bit on the soft side of life, but it matters.
Yeah, and I think it's most important, on the soft side, it is key and it's important with your customer, with the people that working for your company, with your people, your resources. It's better to have better communication with everyone, so that they see your sincerity, they see your humility. Yes, you can still be aggressive about doing your company, but there's just a kind of a way that you carry yourself in your business so that in times of crises, people will want to help you. And that's the whole thing. If you want a rescue team, you need to have had communication with people that you now can turn to and say, hey guys, I got this boardroom table. I got all these people around the table. I really consider you guys a resource. I really need help. Here's my agenda. Can you help me through this and talk through this and to help save my company? And that's what this sheet is designed to do, is to help you think that out. Now, it doesn't have to be all those positions, but at least you want to think of some of the major categories, so that you can start taking action. So it's not just to have a conversation and not do anything about it. It's to work with people that you can work with and take some action immediately. Because if you're in a crisis right now and you need to help save your company, you need people that are not just giving you ideas and that's it, but you need people that are on your team that's helping you through the strategy, helping you give the step-by-steps, because you might not know, but you're needing to be connected to people that are connected, so that's what this is designed to do. Because if you're trying to save your company, this means you need to do it right away. You need to do it fast. So just wanted to share that decision sheet with you as well. So we're done. We actually went live with that sheet. We only have 4, like I stated in the beginning. There are actually 20 sheets that's in the crisis management deck. We only went through 4, which we thought were maybe key things, particularly relating to crises right now. But if you would like to receive these sheets, we can actually email them to you. You have to sign up and register with the Illinois Small Business e-Center Direct. So the link is right there on the screen. Also, this has been recorded, so we will send you the recording once it's uploaded, and then you can access the recording and look at it again in case you've missed something, or also you can share it. So we will have the recording on our YouTube channel once we get everything uploaded. Then also, if you have questions, you can always email us at info@gecdc.org. And I'm asking, and I'll send another link out to you. Remember, I talked about surveys and all that kind of thing. So I'm going to ask that you actually do this survey for me. It's just to give us an idea of if this was helpful, what you can be able to share with us again in the future, so that then we can make this better. Many times people don't understand what GrowthWheel is. So many times, even when we do this live presentation, we don't have a lot of people that attend GrowthWheel because they're not sure about GrowthWheel. But GrowthWheel is one of the best tools to help you think things through. It's asking you questions, helping you to think about things so that then you can be able to develop a better business model. And in this particular case, try to avoid the crises with strategies that can help save your business or move your business to the next level so that then you're ready when the next crises come. So this information, again, that's on your screen is how you can reach us, how you can sign up. If you want those decision sheets that I was working on earlier, you need to reach out to us, register, and we will then connect with you and actually send you those sheets so that you can have them, you can work through them. What we suggest is that once you get the sheet, you work through it, you send it back to us so that then one of our advisors can actually walk through the sheet with you and you can start working so you don't have to do this on your own. You can work with an advisor, okay? I think that's it. I think we're done with our presentation on today. We really appreciate you joining in with us. Again, we will send you the recording. Thank you, Ray, for supporting and giving a comment. And we hope that we hear from you soon. Our information is on the screen if you need to email us, or you can go to our website at www.gecdc.org. And on our website, click on the events tab, and you can see all of the other events that we will be doing. Also, you can go to, and I'll go back to the screen, to the Illinois SBDC e-Center Direct. There's a list of workshops that we will be doing coming up soon, and I think I shared that with you, so I'm going to scroll back to the beginning here. And so there's some things that are listed on the Illinois, the SBDC e-Center Direct events. So all of the road to recovery. So some of this will really be talking about how to recover from this pandemic. These are the workshops and the training. So when you go to e-Center Direct, you'll see all of those. You can register. They're all free. You can sign up and be able to access and be able to listen in and get more detailed information about these workshops that are happening in June and a couple that are happening at the end of the month. So again, any questions or anything like that, you can ask them now. If not, we'll end this session. Any questions? Okay, thank you for joining us. Again, I appreciate you. Thank you for the opportunity. So we're gonna close this one out, and again, we'll have the recording available to you as soon as it uploads. So thank you again. Appreciate you. Take care. Have a great rest of the week.